Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. Hey everybody, this is Cain with Razor's Edge in conjunction with Warzone Unhinged. Please, if you get a chance, it'd really help us out if you'd give us a like on this video. Also, don't forget to hit your notification button so that you get notified of our monthly videos. This month's show is on why do you play solos? Please leave a comment in the comment section and we'll use those comments in further shows. This show is sponsored by Anchor, an easy way to make a podcast, seen on YouTube and heard on Spotify. Using the Mac 10 today along with the Kilo. Super excited about these loadouts. They're pretty fun to play with. And we're going to be doing Rebirth Resurgence solos. Alright, so this format is going to be going through solos, and then it's also going to go through squad play. And in each one, they're going to give me some prompts, and I'll respond to them. I don't know what the prompts are. We're going to talk a little bit about it. So I'm kind of excited about this format. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll just get into it and see how it goes. We'll definitely be talking about the principles today, I know that. So that's cool. Alright, here we go. Let's dive into some solo play, see what's going on there. Alright, why do I play solos? I play it for a lot of reasons, but what I really want to know is why does my audience play solos? I've gotten comments from the audience saying that solos freaks them out, that they get super stressed out playing solos, that they feel much better playing squads. I also get comments that from people who've responded to me saying they prefer solos because they don't like playing with the randoms and the types of people that they meet on the internet. I also met a mother a while back who has her son playing solos because she refuses. If he's going to play, he's got to play solos, is what she said, because she's not going to allow him to have access to anybody online. So maybe that's fine. At any rate, if you'd like to, it'd be great to have you respond to the different reasons that you play solos or why you like solos. Put those in the comment section or respond to the Spotify survey. And I'll use those comments in future videos to kind of share how the community views solos, why they like solos, what people are missing when it comes to solos. To me personally, the biggest thing that I like when it comes to solos is the independence. You're accountable just to yourself, and I also like that when the game is over, it's over and you get to start a new one instead of spectating. So those are the two big reasons for me and why I like solos. But I definitely would be interested in why the community is into solos. What about it? What excites them? Do they even like this new mode? I love this new mode. I love the Rebirth solos. I was hoping they would for the longest time, do Rebirth solos. It just gives players an opportunity to learn the map without the pressure of being on a team and trying to understand movement. Giving you access to the map so that you can learn things is really super handy, and I love that. I also love that again how fast it is. So those are the reasons that I prefer solos. Anyway, and it's a lot of fun. It is just a lot of fun, and I really like the Rebirth because of the pacing is even sped up even more. You don't have those long traverses with the bushes and whatnot on it that you do on the big map. I don't dislike the big map. This is how I prefer. This particular mode is really a lot of fun for me right now. I've had a great time playing it, and I took some time off. And I would encourage anybody who is just it's easy to get burnt out on this game. It's easy to take this game the wrong way, and just kind of lose lose yourself in the stress of this game and the pacing of this game and the stimulus that this game gives you. I mean, there's all kinds of studies about how stimulus can hurt you over being overstimulated. And I'm sure a video game can definitely do that. One, especially where you're trying to pay attention and not, you know, get die or whatever. But I was talking with a friend of mine recently, and we were talking about Warzone, and he was talking about how, man, he's just gonna uninstall it. He's not, digging it. And I was telling him, man, they got a nice solos mode now. And in that conversation, it was just, we just started talking about what's going on with it. And he plays a lot of solos, and he prefers it for a lot of the tactical reasons. Just playing it for himself is what he tells me. But all that being said, I think solos creates an opportunity just to learn the map and have a good time. But in talking with him about that, I was telling him, people take it way too seriously, and he admitted that he did. He said he just took it way too seriously, and he was, he wanted to win, but at the same time, dying pissed him off. Having his character die pissed him off. But we got to talking about other games like Grand Theft Auto and Halo and a variety of games that he plays. And, there's not a lot of difference in those games when you die a lot. I mean, because you do die a lot. I was just playing Spider-Man the other day, and I died a lot in that. I'm trying to beat this certain level, and it's tough, but it's interesting. The dynamics of dying in those games, for whatever reason, impacts players differently, I guess. But taking a step back for a while has given me the context that it's not any different than dying in Spider-Man or Grand Theft Auto or any other game. You just start over. Now, if you believe it's different, then maybe you should make an argument for that in the comments section. And I would absolutely have that debate or have that discussion with you, because I'm not going to come here and say that I know everything or that I know all the approaches. I'm just coming here saying this is what I think, and I want to involve the community in this conversation. And the conversation at present is, what do you prefer? Why do you prefer solos? What about solos makes you happy? And I'd like to have a more enriched conversation about that with you. So if you do, please leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll get into it. And we'll dive into what about solos makes you excited. So yeah, it was a good introduction. I really like that question, and I'm glad you asked it. Thank you so much. All right. So is advantage part of decision making? I absolutely believe it is. I believe that I think you need to make good decisions to get an advantage. And so I think tactical decision making, all the elements under that work to get an advantage, help you with tactical decision making, if that makes sense. That's how I'm understanding that. And so yeah, if your question is exactly as written, then that's what I'm thinking is the answer. So yeah, if you look at the way I play, I try to use all the elements of movement and the parts of the things and the principles to support a good decision that will help me win the game. So yeah, I do agree with that. So when you look like right now, let's see all right. So right here, my decision is to take cover. I went prone because I knew I needed space, and I was trying to cut them off as they ran into that building there. But the decision didn't work. In part because I should have plated perhaps, and so that decision to not plate prior to engaging them was a tactical decision that didn't go well. And here's another tactical decision, when you go to get your loadout. And so I decided to go ahead and get this loadout and push back. And I hear him. I knew he was where he was, so I waited on him. And in that case, it worked out really well. So yeah, I do think, every decision you make is going to be part of just tactical decision making. It's going to be good or bad for you, I'm sure. But in doing so, ultimately, I think you're trying to seek an advantage, and that advantage is most likely going to be coming from the decisions you make, and those decisions you make I think, are related to movement. All right, which is best? Centering, slide hopping, plating and looking, rotations, and timing and movement in relationship to advantage. I believe all those are part of advantage. Having an advantage in a fight so that you have good centering, so that you have that advantage again, if that makes sense. Sliding around doors, hopping around corners, that helps you get an advantage. Plating and looking so that you get information gives you an advantage. The way you do rotations and timing gives you an advantage. Yeah, I think all those are how you seek advantage, absolutely. And I try to seek advantages in whenever I'm playing. Obviously, that's I think the point. And so I see, for example, if you see someone around a corner like I just did in the video, then I took cover. I jumped back to the left to take cover, which was a tactical decision, but then I popped out to finish them. Yeah, I think tactical decision making, absolutely, and then those elements are part of seeking that advantage. So for sure. Here in this video, you're seeing I've got a guy down and loaded. I'm just holding on my fire, waiting so he doesn't know where I'm at, and then just giving him as many bullets as I can give him. Holding on that few minutes, that decision to hold my fire until I actually had good sight was a decision that helped. But yeah, I think all of those elements contribute to how you make decisions, and I think centering is one of the things that is probably the most important. It's hard, especially when you watch, like, for example, in sniping, to have that little tiny white dot where you want it to be so that you can quick scope. For me, it's kind of hard. Some people make it look so easy. But I think what I see is good centering allows for me to check doors and check windows at a distance, for sure. And I think that the better you are at centering, the more likely you are to win a gunfight. There are a lot of times when I look back at my videos and the person shooting at me hits the ground 3 or 4 or 5, 6 bullets before they even hit me. And so that definitely helps me if I'm centered and they're not. So I do think that those are good ways to get an advantage in a gunfight, for sure. And sometimes there's not a whole lot you can do. You're going to lose a gunfight to someone who's not quite as skilled. I mean, it's going to happen. I don't understand why anybody would get grumpy about losing a gunfight to someone who's not as skilled. I mean, it's going to happen. Even in combat, special forces guys are the best, men and women in military. And they die because they get shot by someone who's probably not as good as them in terms of physical attributes and shot selection and the ability to shoot. So, is shooting and moving more important? I do think so. If you look at the graphic on the screen, once you spot an enemy, you should fire and move, and then use the cover and concealment to your advantage as well. And know the difference between cover and concealment. Concealment obviously just hides you, and cover actually hard covers you. So some of the buildings are transparent and you can get shot through. You've got to keep that in mind. I think that, when you shoot at somebody, you should definitely move. Or when they see you, either one. The point being that when you give people your position, or give your position away, you want to move to confuse them. That's to get the advantage. Um, you don't want, I mean, they can hear you with footsteps and probably track you. And they also have heartbeat sensors and the like. So I think it's important for you to, if you're going to fire or let your position be known or you're seen in any way, definitely move quickly thereafter. It's really a smart way to play. And I noticed that a lot of the top tier players supposedly that are, I mean, I say that supposedly because they say they're so self-aggrandizing, they self-promote. But in saying that, it's because like when they say I'm a pro player or whatever, um, those players do tend to move a lot more. There's quite a bit of movement, and so and part of that is because if somebody does see you and you're moving, it's harder for them to shoot you. Just like when you see a player who's moving around a lot and you can't get your reticle on them. I mean, it's the same principle. It's just from a different perspective. And so, all that being said, yeah, I think that shooting and moving is probably the most important part after centering, keeping your reticle up off the ground right in front of you so that you can snap to windows, snap to doors, and you're more likely to get those headshots that you need to finish off the fight quicker. And that's ultimately the goal. You want to end the fight as quick as possible with as least damage to you as you can get. At least that's my thinking. And I mean, no, it sounds so obvious, but it does make sense, right? An example being what I just did on the screen is I just broke glass and I jumped back in so that they're looking for someone outside the building, maybe. And then, shifting position from downstairs to upstairs. Those kinds of things help make a difference in how I approach this. So yeah, absolutely. I do think centering, shooting, and moving, staying on top of it, all those things help you get an advantage, including your positioning, whether or not you're higher or lower than a player. Every one of those things makes a big difference for sure. And I'm trying to keep those in my mind as I play. All right, so now we're going to shift from away from solos, I guess. All right, sounds good. So playing with friends versus playing with weirdos and randoms. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, if you have a good set of friends that you can play with, I think that that's definitely a place to start for sure. I haven't had necessarily a lot of luck playing with random people. I've met a few people playing online, and some of them are okay. Some of them are really good people. I've got some people that I played with that are just super supportive, super nice, and I follow them, and I'll put their names in the description so that you can follow them if you like as well. But I will say this: I do think that sometimes relationships, especially ones that are acquaintance-style relationships, and I would equate the relationships where you meet people online as friends. I mean, as acquaintance style. I mean, you can become good friends, and in fact, the crew that I play with here we're great friends. Um, and if they were in this country and were, stopping by, we would definitely go to lunch or have a meal together, break bread, for sure, no doubt. These are great guys. But that said, it's hard to find those types of people, and it's really rare. And so if you're fortunate enough to have really good players to play with, really good friends to play with, it doesn't matter the skill set. Again, I don't think that that's important. I think you play with squads to get that social aspect and have some fun and try some things and explore the game together. I think those reasons, those are really good. Those are really good reasons to interact and have a good time with each other and play squads. So, yeah, I played with some really weird dudes, man, and I've played with some really great people. I think I played with men, women. I played with, great guys from Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas and I played with some people who are also pretty shitty and have some major psychological issues. Major psychological issues. Um, and I played with some people who are just not that great. I played with players who are professional streamers. I mean, and they're the way what's interesting, I think, about people who I guess there's a mentality, right, between some players. And I think what I've noticed is the better a player is, the less likely they are to worry about what you're doing and what you've done. They don't mind buying you back or waiting for you to res them. They don't mind any of those things. And those tend to be the better players that I've noticed, that I played with. I played with a guy who has like a 6 KD, and the dude's off the chain. I mean, like, he is so good. And what makes him good is he just has great movement, great anticipation, knows the maps really well, those types of things, and has good up close movement, right? Um, in fact, guys on this squad that I'm playing with now, we've all played with that guy, and he's great. And the guys I'm playing with on the squad are good. And but I think that when you start worrying about, who's good and who's not good, and you know who gets carried, and I think it creates a toxic culture, and I'm definitely trying to avoid all that toxicity in thinking about how it's not fun. It's not fun for me. I don't enjoy, you know, trolling people, and I don't enjoy being trolled. I think it's a weird hobby. Not definitely not into it. So, um, that said, it is what it is, and people are going to behave how they are, and honestly, I just end up avoiding them if I can when it comes to those types of individuals. But that said, yeah, I played with my share of weirdos, and I played with my share of randoms, and I'm at the stage now. I just don't do that. I prefer to play solo or play with people that I played with and that are really cool. Now, I will say this: I played against some people once, and they've invited me to be on their squad, and I played with them a little bit. And I've also played in games where I picked up a random, but I also had people I knew with in the squad at the time. But the people that I picked up as randoms were cooler than the people that I was playing with, and so it was just I ended up, becoming friends with them. All right, talk squad movement. Yeah, I think, if you look at the first image on the bottom left, you're seeing that blue and green are working together, and orange and purple are working together in movement. And with the enemy being off to the side, you're going to see that who has the angle. If you're all stacked up on top of each other, you're all seeing the same thing. So if you notice in the second graphic, having that space between you and your teammate allows for you to identify the enemy and call it out to your team, and your team can then do suppressive fire, and you can also do suppressive or do fire on the enemy. So yeah, I think that not stacking on top of your teammates is really good advice. I tend to try to use the mini map as well as the surrounding environment to dictate how I'm addressing that. I don't want to be right on top of my team, but I want to be near them or with them, so I can help them. It's an interesting dynamic between wanting to be close but not too close, right? You want to be where you can flank the enemy, but at the same time, you don't want to be so far away that you are slow in getting there and you're just doing cleanup. The guy's already downed or killed your partner, and but he needs to play it or she needs to play, and so then you can take that player out. To me, that's bad timing, and I'm trying to avoid that when I play with my team or my friends, to avoid that bad timing by being close but not too close. And sometimes it's just not going to work out for me. Sometimes it's going to I'm going to be off a bit on how close I should be, and that's why I try to pay attention to the minimap and their movement and where they're at, and so I can kind of stay close. But again, I'm try to keep that distance so I can flank them, kind of like as if I was holding onto a rubber band and they were holding onto the other end. I don't want it to get so far that it breaks and snaps one of us, but at the same time, I don't want to get to a position where it's dragging the ground. Are all of these tactical decision making? Absolutely. Downing players, getting out of vehicles, an internal clock, rotating and timing, getting. Oh, I had sound there twice. Okay, and how to run and how to run away. Yeah, those are all parts of tactical decision making. You know, when you down a player, what do you do next? Do you finish them? Do you go after the other teammate? Is that something you need to think about? It depends on the mode, number of people, situation. Yes, absolutely. Those are tactical decisions. Getting out of a vehicle, I think, a lot of people get into a vehicle and then they get stuck. They don't know when and how to get out. Just pull up to a building that allows you to exit from the transitional space between the vehicle and the building. Pull up to the vehicle or to the building, use that transitional space and get where you need to get. That's how you get out of a vehicle. The same way you would in real life. If someone was trying to carjack you, if you want to get out of your vehicle, you pull up to a place, a building right up to the door. Get out and get into where there are other people where you can get help. If that's what you're going to do, if that's your plan, I would say. In terms of rotation, timing, and movement, those are all tactical decisions, absolutely, that you need to make. And then when and how to run away. Yeah, absolutely. There are players that get mad if you run away, and there are players who run away. I mean, I think you have to determine what the importance is of, what's the goal of the team. If the team's goal is to win, and your entire squad gets wiped out, and they have a full squad, there's no sense in you staying. You should dip out, and you should regain your team so that you can win the game. This team that I played with, I can't tell you the number of times that we have won games when we have all but died. One of us has died, and that other teammate ran off, regained the whole squad. We've come back and kicked ass. I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to win. If otherwise, I think it becomes a bit selfish, right? Let's play out a scenario. Let's say that you're playing with a squad, and the squad all gets wiped, and they're mad because you didn't come up and die too. Like, you just run in and die. Well, if in that scenario, that person is selfish. They're saying, I can't sit here and spectate or wait. You have to. You can wait for us all you want, but I'm not going to wait. You guys ever play against a player or play with a player like that? That as soon as they die, they want to restart the game, but when you die, they're happy to play solo squads all day long? That's not someone that I think, should play with, because clearly they're a selfish player, and it's all about them. So, move on. But the guys that I play with, they're not like that, particularly. So, yeah, that's what I would say about all those different elements that I believe are part of tactical decision making. And there's more. I think when or when not to revive somebody. That's a tactical decision that needs to be made, I think. But to make all those tactical decisions, I think it takes some time for you to think about them, process them, have them become ingrained in the way you play. At least that's how it's been for me, and that's how people learn. So I mean, it would make some sense that that's what ends up happening. So yeah, I think, and the big one that I noticed that I've gotten past was getting out of vehicles, you know, and then some, also the rotation. In terms of getting out of vehicles, I'll just say that I pull up. I used to be a little afraid to get out of a vehicle once I got in it. But all right, so let's move on to reviving teammates. What about reviving teammates? I'm kind of surprised this came up. I was just talking about it. All right, so reviving teammates. When is the right time to revive them? How should you revive them? Should you revive them? I know a lot of players are like, pick me up, pick me up. Well, yeah, I will when I can. And it really comes down to, again, tactical decision making. When I have a player who's down or a teammate who's down, I have a couple of things I need to handle before I can, I have to clear the area first, right? And then once I do that, I can go ahead and get the res off. And then you want to, I think, don't forget to keep looking around while you're resing. You want to make sure that you're, again, getting all the intel you can when you can get it. It's pretty important. So with that said, I think, you want to definitely try to revive your team. Your teammate is the most important resource on the, in the field, because they fire another gun, they have other tools. It's super important that you revive them if you can. You depend on them to help you in a way that is different than when you're than just your weapons. And so your most important resource is your team, and you don't want to lose that. You don't want them to you don't want to have them die if you can help it. And so I'll definitely try to pull off the res if I can. And there are times, as you've seen in the video, there are times when pulling it off was necessary to help keep the squad going, and there are times when it's not a good idea. And I struggle with the one on the gas for sure, because a numerous amount of times I have tried to save my team when it comes to them going down in the gas. It works some of the time. It's not a very high statistically probable way to revive somebody or to win the game. So anyway, but I try to. I think it's important. Like I said, I believe, at least my perspective is that the most important resource is my teammates. So that's where I'm operating from. That's the method that I'm taking into consideration when I make my decisions. So I just think it's been really good playing with these guys and getting to practice that element and trying to be successful with when to res and how to res. And I love pulling off the clutch reses for sure. I absolutely do love it. All right, well, that will do it for today's program. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and definitely go into the comments section and talk about why you like solos. I want to use your comments and your thoughts in future videos. So I'll see you guys next month, man. Be awesome, be well, be the person that your dog thinks you are. Keep up that good movement. Keep up, keep playing, keep having a good time. Realize it's just a game. Be okay with dying like you do in Grand Theft Auto. And man, be awesome. Have a good one.